Hey everybody, welcome back to another Friday edition of Productivity Training. I'm your host, Jason Will, real estate broker, Blueprint Realty Company. Hey, today we're just going to be talking about leads. I hear this a lot. It's probably the most common thing a real estate agent will say as it relates to, like, what are your needs presently? I need more leads, right? But they're not consistent with social media. So if you follow me, and especially if you're a member of our Blueprint Facebook group, which anybody's allowed to join. So if you want to get in there, just reach out to me or find it and request to join, and I'll let you in. But occasionally I'll go on there and say, or I'll make a post that will read, I don't know who needs to hear this right now, but I just got off the phone with a lead from TikTok or YouTube or Instagram or Facebook. I'm trying to inspire you. I'm trying to provide some proof, some social proof that consistent content creation and distribution actually works. It will actually help you close more deals. And I know that there are real estate agents out there who all their business, primarily their largest source of business is one of those platforms. It's either Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, Facebook. That's where the majority of their business comes from. They're not phone prospectors, they're not comfortable door knocking, but they have found their identity, their personality, their lane, their groove on social, online, and it has been very, very profitable for them. And I am making these posts because I understand. I used to be one of these skeptical agents. Real estate agents tend to need to see it to believe it, right? So that's just all I'm doing. I'm trying to just, inspire you, motivate you to get on there and create content. The other thing that I understand, this is a talking point, like I am just constantly hammering, is that trust equals capacity. So trust equals capacity is it directly correlated to the capacity at which our business will grow. So the more people that trust us, the more deals we're going to close. Just plain and simple. The more people are going to refer us. So that's huge. Top of mind awareness. I mean, we are in a very public figure industry. If you're not seeing people being seen, then you're not top of mind. And that's real. I mean, just think about how many times you've been blindsided by somebody who's pretty close to you doing business with a real estate agent other than you. I mean, it happens a lot, and we get pissed off at those people, and maybe the relationship suffers or even ends at that point. But a lot of times, if we start to really dive into this and take some ownership of it, we would see like, oh, this is totally my fault. I haven't connected with this person in 5 years, 10 years, whatever the case may be. They should just know that I'm a real estate agent and just automatically think of me when that need arises. It's not the case. We have to constantly stay in front of these people. We have to constantly remind them that our business, a big part of our business, is dependent on them. And we constantly need to be growing our audience, constantly need to be growing our database. People will fall off. People will move. Things happen. People, expire. So we have to continually build and maintain and nurture this database, right? The other thing is that, I mentioned like phone prospecting. This is an opportunity to create reverse prospecting where we stop chasing the business and people actually reach out to us. They proactively connect with us. I'm going to give you some real life examples here. So just this week, I was in communication with, or have been in communication with somebody from TikTok who's been texting me. They own a lake house. They live on the lake in Michigan. They want to move they love the lake life. They just want a better climate, right? So been talking with that person. I don't know this person from Adam, and they didn't know me until they encountered me on TikTok. Another example I want to give you is with, really, it's a traditional FSBO. It's a builder on a lake here in Alabama, and, they're building spec homes, and, I think the game plan was for them just to sell them by owner. I'm trying to gain these builders, these business partners, I'm trying to gain their trust. I want to definitely show people. There have been people that have decided not to list with me because I'm not a full-time lake resident, or, I don't have a lot of late listing sales under my belt yet. Just my resume is, not good enough for them, which I think some of those people, if they're paying attention, are having some remorse about that, because there is nobody that's going to outwork me. And that's the thing I wanted to talk about next. This one of these builders, there's these two partners in this company, but he reached out to me. He's following me on social media, and reached out to me, and let's see, I'm going to read it for you. You are killing it with these videos. It's nonstop. Just curious, is it working? Are you getting leads and new views on these videos? And this is the key part I wanted to point out. I've never seen a real estate agent this aggressive. I love it! Exclamation point. All right. So you think that person is starting to trust that if they hire me, that I'm just going to pound that rock relentlessly until I get their home sold? I think so. But this also gives me a testimonial opportunity. I screenshot this text. I'm going to keep their identity private, but this is something I can send to another for sale by owner, or somebody that I'm in competition with, to earn a listing, and go, listen, this is what people are saying about me online. That follow me, that see how much I post on a regular basis. So this is very, very real and highly advised. So I'm going to go over, I pulled some data just to reinforce what I'm talking about here, and then we're going to end it, with some advice. But this may shock you, okay? But NAR did a tech survey this year in 2025, and they found that the number one lead source right now for real estate agents is, ding, 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 you guessed it, social media. And I guess remain. I'm not sure if they did this same survey a couple years back, and I don't know how many years running social media has been at the top, but it is the number one lead generating technology out there. Number one. So if I have an opportunity to utilize the number one lead generating platform technology available to me, and most of it is free if you're not boosting posts or paying for Google pay-per-click, this is just sweat equity stuff. But if I hear that NAR surveyed their agents, their members, and found in overwhelming numbers that social media has been reported as their number one lead source, I'm going, damn, I'm getting on this train, right? So Zillow did a consumer trend study in 2024, and they found that real estate consumers in the age group of, let's say, 20s to 40s, the prime way they connected with their real estate agent was through sites like TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube. That's huge. All right. So this is particularly, or specifically, mainly buyers, real estate buyers have connected with their real estate agent on one of those three platforms. Huge. If we want to talk about Instagram, let's talk about how Reels outperform just about every other form of content out there. All right. So there is a 20% real view rate by real estate consumers. That is per Social Media Insider. If you think about an open rate on an email or a newsletter, if you get in that 20 to 30% range, that's very strong. Okay. So let's think about that. All right. So we've got some reinforcement from data from NAR and Zillow. All right. Both of these folks, they're known for doing some deep research. So now let's talk about a strategy standpoint. Okay. So if you're been inconsistent, or you feel like you've tried it and it hasn't worked, maybe I'm about to say something that's going to ring a few bells and let you know maybe where you have gone wrong with this. But a lot of people out there follow Tom Ferry. I think he is, if he's not number one, he's one of the number one real estate coaches out there. And simple advice from Tom is to educate. Okay, start putting out educational content. Okay, so educational content typically has higher engagement than most other forms of content. Okay, so educate the public. Some of you have heard me say that a bunch. Just educate the public. Everything that you have learned, everything that you're learning. I mean, real estate is one of those industries where you're just constantly learning. Don't assume that everybody knows that or that you were the last person to learn it. Put it out there and see how it goes. Put it out there consistently. Here are tips for buying. Here are tips for selling. Here are tips for winning a multiple offer situation. Here are tips to prepare for a home inspection. I mean, on and on and on. But we could go through loan programs, how to build credit score. You could even provide some basic marketing tips for somebody that wants to FISBO their house. I know that sounds crazy, but who knows where that might lead. The other thing is, okay, so what's working? So highly recommend that you go heavy on reels and shorts, okay? Reels and shorts. So Instagram reels, big conversion through Instagram reels. It is the consumers. I mean, reels is just something that they're constantly consuming. Okay, so very high return on investment for consistently creating and publishing reels. But the other thing that's getting a lot of, I would say, buzz in the industry right now is Google business profiles. I would think of it like as another social media platform. But, and we got to think about this, Google, the search engine, number one, YouTube, a lot of people use these platforms, like overwhelmingly use these platforms. And Google My Business or a Google business profile, in addition to a YouTube channel, those don't cost any money if we're not putting paid advertisements, if we're not running paid advertisements through those platforms. So key. But I would think about a Google My Business platform as you would think about your Facebook page. When you post something on Facebook, post it on your Google My Business. It's also a great place for you to get reviews, and this is all about getting found in the search engines when people are searching for real estate agents who they want to hire to help them buy and sell real estate. All right. So Ryan Serhant, big fan of Ryan, would highly advise people to follow him on TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, all the above, wherever. But before I do that, let me back up just a second and let people know the goal here in terms of consistency is to start small. So if you're, let's say you're most comfortable with Facebook, but you're not consistent, you're not as consistent as you need to be on Facebook. The goal is to, before we add Instagram or TikTok or YouTube, we should get consistent with Facebook. Now, I love the fact that, Facebook and Instagram are both part of Meta, and they're both, there's a lot of synergy between those apps. And so posting on one, you can syndicate to the other. So it's like the whole two birds with one stone. But it can overwhelm people. Even the fact that you can set this up and it just kind of, takes care of itself, that can overwhelm people, and they can experience a paralysis by analysis and go, I just don't know how to connect the two. So I'm so frustrated with all of it. I'm going to do nothing. And that's not what we want. So start small. Once you start getting consistent with Facebook, add another one. Once you're consistent with both of those, add another one, and so on and so forth. But I'm a big fan of Ryan Serhant. I think you should be following. If you're not, he has got some great books out, and just his short form content is really impactful, I believe. But Serhant is very big on brand building, brand first. So here's his playbook, and it's very simple. Build your brand through daily videos and then exercise patience. I can tell you that the brand that I am and have been building for well over a year now is a lake specialist real estate agent. And there have been so many times where I have just been like, I'm giving up. I'm worn out. Well, I don't really ever really get to that place where I'm giving up, but I do suffer from fatigue from it. And I am not a very patient person. And so I do want results to come faster. So I would say Giving up is not an issue for me, but frustration is. And who knows if that frustration was prolonged long enough, I might switch gears and go to something else. But I've stayed true to this brand and I'm consistently putting out content and have given you some consumer reinforcement on the impact that consistency is making, at least with them. And this person in particular has a lot of contacts and could be a very, even if I never earn their personal business, could be a very powerful referral partner for me. So how do we turn these daily videos into followers and then ultimately into leads? So the formula is a CTA, a call to action. All right. And then sending these people DMs. Hey, I appreciate your comment to my post on social media. I appreciate you constantly liking my content. Is there anything I can do for you? Do you have, a business or something coming up that needs some marketing, some promotion? Happy to do it. And the other thing is capture pages. So my real estate website has, a lead capture component to it, which is very, very profitable. So a lot of real estate agents I know are scared of that. They're like, I don't want to force somebody to register. I don't want to piss people off, especially that my sphere of influence. And, I understand it, but you're a business owner, okay? And so you need to be in the business of making money. And if you're not consistently closing deals, then I would probably just get over that. All right. And then just address it. Just be like, hey, if you ever, I know the website links I put out have this capture feature to them. If you ever just want to circumvent that and ask me a question, just send me a text message or a DM or call me and I'll be happy to do that. All right, so calls to actions, DMs, and capture pages. And a capture page may just be, it could be Linktree. It could be a contact form for somebody to fill out if they want more information. So it doesn't have to be a forced registration situation. It can just be, do you have a place where people can input their information if they have a question? All right, so let's go on to use, this is going to be the final thing I talk about here. Some things I could be doing, should be doing, and am doing to educate the public, to garner engagement, to create conversations, to create relationships, and ultimately close more business. But as a lake specialist in Alabama, I could put out a lot of content that compares and contrasts different lakes. Okay, so Smith Lake, Lake Martin, those two lakes, highly competitive, but they have a lot of differences. You can get way more house on Smith Lake than you can on Lake Martin. You can get way more house on Logan Martin than you can on Smith Lake. There is differences in water quality. There is differences in the number of, let's say, restaurants or things to do on these lakes. For instance, Smith Lake is a dry lake. Most people don't know that. What does that mean? I could educate the public on the pluses and minuses, the pros and cons of, the lake being dry. Around these lakes, there are going to be communities, deed restricted communities. There's unrestricted areas of land. But what are the most popular neighborhoods? What are the top 3 neighborhoods on Smith Lake, Logan Martin Lake, Lay Lake, Lake Martin, Lake Guntersville? That would keep me busy for a while to identify those top 3 neighborhoods. And I would use the MLS to help me figure that out. Which of these neighborhoods, which of these communities is selling the most consistently, has the most data? Just follow the data, right? What are the waterfront buying traps? What are the top 5 things people should consider when they're buying a lake home? Okay, these are all great things, great content ideas that I could be putting out. Second home financing, short-term rentals, mobile home financing. A lot of these lakes, like I said, have unrestricted lots where somebody can put a tiny house, a camper, or a mobile home. And some of these are obviously deed restricted and they can't do that. But helping people identify areas if they're looking for a gated community as opposed to a place to put a camper, a lot of people prefer to have restricted covenants to protect the, visual aesthetic of or quality of that community. They want, their neighbors to keep their yards looking nice. Some people just want a piece of land where they don't have to answer to anybody. And I get both of those mindsets, but helping people identify where these areas are is huge. I look at, this is just kind of, behind the curtain pro tip. What I will do is I will look at the people that are visiting my site the most, the return visitors. I focus on return visitors in terms of my communication, but I'll look and see if my website allows me to see if they've looked at a property multiple times. If they have, and I haven't seen it, I know I need to be out there previewing properties. A big part of our job is to know the inventory. So many of you just poo-poo on that all the time and don't do it. You just sit on your hands like, oh, the real estate market's slow right now. I'll just be slow with it. No, this is the perfect time to get out and do things that you might not necessarily have the time to do in a hot market, like preview properties. But if I see somebody that has looked at a property 2, 3, 4, 5 times, I'm going to go out there and shoot a video of it, and I'm going to be proactive. I'm going to send it to them. Hey, notice you were giving us a lot of looks online. Thought you might appreciate a video tour. Here you go. I can tell you that is a great way to build rapport with people, is to do something for them on their behalf that brings value to them without being asked. Okay, all right, I think we're going to cut it off there. Keep it short and sweet. If you got questions, reach out to me. 251-583-9728. Contact me through Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, whatever. I'm on all the platforms. I'm pretty easy to find. If all else fails, just Google Jason Will Realtor, and there you go. We will see you in a week. If you've got questions between now and then, if it's totally unrelated to what we've talked about today, just reach out. I'll be happy to answer your question. All right, thanks for tuning in.